I think I have given access to most of the people who have requested. Have you all got it? Okay, I'm getting.
Ma'am, it isn't opening.
Are you able to open now, all of you?
No, ma'am.
No. How about others?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
able to. Okay. Those of you not able to do that, you'll have to send a request again. I think I have resolved most of the requests. Yes. Everybody can access now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
So take only the first two questions in that. You will have scenarios of emails there, right? You're able to see the document, right? So you have about 10 of them. We'll do all of them, but not today. What we're going to do today is only the first two. So what I want you to do is right now, you're just going to write down an email based on what you heard in the last class. Even if you are not there in the last class, based on what you understand of emails and formal email writing, just draft an email for the scenario that is mentioned. Okay. Only the first and the second question. After you're done with that, we'll discuss a little more about emails. I'll talk to you a little bit more about the aspects of writing emails, etc. So right now you do the first two and your time will be, I don't think you should require more than 10 or 15 minutes, actually only 10 minutes. But let's say we start talking again at 5:20. Until then, you please write and write in that document itself so that I can access it later. Okay? Clear? All good? Any questions? No problem?
Ma'am, where we have to write?
Do you not have space there? You can write it in the same. It's a Google Doc, right? You can edit it. All of you have editing rights for that. So right under that email, you can start writing the first one. Okay, if you're facing any difficulties, let me know. If anybody has joined now, you will have to do the same process. Yes, I will share it again. People who have joined now, you should go to this link that I've posted now. And you might have to send a request to access it. Please send it so that I can accept it. You can click on the link, I think, and get a share request. Pragati, you should be able to open it now. So do the first two questions if you were not here. An email scenario, you'll write answers to both of them and just leave it as such. We'll get back to that question once you finish writing. Okay, you'll have time till 5:20. It's 5:10 now. 10 minutes should be enough for you to write both of those emails. You should be able to access now. Somebody else. Shubham, you should also be able to access now. Check it. But I don't see your request, Purna. You might have to send a request again. Please try to click on the link and send a request. I'll accept it.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, I have accessed the link, but I could not able to find the template for email where to write.
How about others? Are you guys able to access the ones who are already doing it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Try again, Pragati.
In all.
I don't know. Yeah, there are only topics. You will have to write an email response to that. That is what the question is. You will have to write answers to the first two questions. Has anyone joined now? The last few minutes? Okay. I'll share the link again in your group. You can access the file. I mean, you will have to send in a request. I'll accept it, but we'll close this writing at 5:20 because I have to discuss a few things other than this. Maybe 5:25, another 5 minutes you can take, since I see that most of you are only writing the first one. So somebody send me a request, I've accepted it. You can check your files, but not more than 5:25 so that we have some time to discuss as well, right? Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, question number 2 is not visible in Google Docs.
You will have to scroll down a little bit because there are multiple people working on it. It's there.
Ma'am, I think someone has erased it. Like,
No, it's there. Scheduling a meeting. I can see it. I have access to the same file. You'll have to scroll down a little bit. It's still there. Scheduling a meeting scenario, you need to schedule a team meeting to discuss project updates. It's there.
okay.
Yes. So 20, we'll take another 5 minutes to wind this up. I think most of you have started writing the second email, so it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes for you to finish that. Once you've done that, we can start talking about a few things, right? So maybe this class and the next class we'll spend on the emails. And once that's done, I'll send in you more these scenario questions, the rest of them that we have in the document, we'll work on them. Some of it in the class and some of it you on your own. Okay. And I'll tell you if you have to submit anything. Usually I don't prefer you taking anything as take home assignments. Whatever you do, you can do in the class and submit. But you can definitely use this as a practice document in case you would like to. If any one of you have joined now, I can share the link with you, but I prefer that you not start writing now because we have been doing it for the last 10, 12 minutes. So if you start now, you can, of course, but I'll start talking about it once these people have finished writing. That is at 5:25. Okay. So I'll reshare the link. You can go to that, but we'll start discussing this before you would have finished it. So, but that's all right. We can still write and check with this. Not many of you have started writing the second one, I see. Okay, at least if you have written one, it should be okay. If you have some time left, it is just 1 minute more.
Ma'am, could you please repeat the question number second as it is not visible in my Google Docs?
It's scheduling a meeting, right? Yes, somebody has highlighted it for, but see, I think the problem is, you're not scrolling down enough. I see there's a lag in that, but that's because people are working on the document. I was supposed to do this on the peer deck, but my phone is not able to access it. So I had to shift it to a Google Doc. Next week onwards, you will have a better writing experience. Today I had to do some makeshift arrangement for this because I do not have my laptop with me today. Can you see it now, Roshan? I think it's highlighted now.
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, where has highlighted it, Nitin. Yeah, word limit would be what we discussed that in the last class, right? So your maximum word limit would be 120, not more than that. And it depends. Every time it doesn't have to be 120. It can be anywhere between 80 to 120. If you're done by 80, then good enough. If your email demands you to write a little bit more, then maybe up to 120, but nothing more than that. Roughly say 3 to 4 sentences. All right. Can we start talking? All of you might have written at least the first email, right? If not, you can continue writing, but I'm going to go back to the document to see some of them. Most of you have written the subject, I guess. Some of you have, I see it. But if you had started writing without a subject, then this is the first thing that you need to note. Remember, we discussed this contents of the email in the last class, right? The first thing that comes in is the subject line. So that is what we are going to discuss today again. Okay, what is a subject line and what should the subject line look like in professional emails, right? The subject line followed by your greetings or what you call as salutation, right? Then your email, which should have definitely the first line. What is the first line? Purpose statement, right? The second would be details. That is, if you have to provide any details about why you're writing, then that would be the second line, obviously. Third would be, what is that thing called? Closing remarks, right? We discussed that also in the last class. You know, sentences like I look forward to hear from you or look forward to meet with you. These are all called closing line. And these are very, very important in all professional emails. Followed by complimentary close and signature, right? And if you have attachments, then that should also be a part of your email, right? This was the roughly the content of an email, right? So if you had followed this structure, then you're good enough with your format and structure of writing a professional email. If you have missed anything from what I have mentioned now, right? If you've missed on the subject line, that's a problem. If you have missed your salutation, that's a problem. If you have written more than 3 or 4 sentences in your email, then that is again a problem. By which I mean if you've written too long an email, right? Professional emails always have to be small, concise, to the point, right? So 3 sentences or 3 to 4 sentences in the body of the email. Then the closing remarks, which is the last line in your body of the email. If that is not there, again, this is an issue, right? Next is your complimentary close, which is, expressions like warm regards or sincerely, etc. And your signature, that is your name and your designation and the organization you work for or you study in, right? If there's a requirement for attachment, even that is included. So if all of these things are mentioned in your email, then you're good to go with the structure, right? So structure part is fine. Now, second thing is how to write. What is the appropriate way to use expressions in an email, whether that's in salutation or in your complimentary close, that we'll check. But first thing we are going to deal with today is the subject line, right? So I'll share. You can stop writing now. We'll get back to the class. I'll share with you a PPT and we'll discuss a little bit on the subject line before we can go to the next. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay. Okay, just confirm with me. Can you see the screen properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So do you see this content in an email? That's what you see, right? On the screen? Yes,
Yes,
no?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Three
Contents in
slides.
an email. So this is what I was talking about. Okay. So all of these are what form a proper professional email, right? So everything that you see here, starting from the subject line to the last part, which is the attachment, right in the given order should be how you structure your professional email, right? Fields are usually mentioned in the, whatever messenger you're using to send in an email, but it is also on our end to verify and double check how you're going to send off this email, right? So check on all this. This is a checklist that you should follow while you're drafting a professional email, right? Now, out of this, we are going to talk about the subject line today. That is, what is it? What is the purpose of the function of a subject line in an email? Also, what are the do's and don'ts and etc. that you need to keep in mind while you draft a subject line? Okay. So subject line, this is mostly what, as the slide mentions, it's like a preview, right? Or what you can call as, say, something like a teaser of a movie, right? Usually subject line is the first thing that anybody would see when you send them an email, right? And why is it important? It's like the teaser of a movie. You watch the teasers or you watch the trailer of a movie and you decide whether you want to watch it or not, right? So it has that quality to it. So what does it mean? Can you comment a little bit about what happens in the movie teasers? That would help you understand exactly what a subject line in a mail would do. Why do we have teasers for movie? You can unmute yourself and talk. No, you guys don't watch movies?
Ma'am, teaser are usually 1-2 minutes long videos which
Yes.
shows about movies like is it adventurous or romantic something.
Right. So why do you think we have started having these teasers? This is a comparatively newer thing, right? We never used to have these kind of things initially. But these days, we make sure that before a movie is released, there's a teaser that's sent. And I mean, there's multiple teasers, just not just one. Sometimes the team decides that they should send more than 2 teasers. Additionally, there's also something called the poster release. Poster releases we used to have before as well. But teasers do much more than that. What is that? Why do you think we need trailers and teasers? What is the function? What do they
For
help them?
marketing also,
Huh?
for marketing and to tell
Yes.
what the movie is about in short.
Correct. Right. So, in short, that's in a nutshell, as you call it, or gist. It gives you a gist or a flavor of what the movie is going to be about. It tells you what's the genre of the movie. It tells you who are the main characters in the movie. It gives you a very small outline of what the story would look like, right? Same thing is applicable to the subject line. And like the movie, the first thing that you're going to see for a movie is a teaser. Likewise, in an email, the first thing that anybody who receives that email from you is going to be the subject line. If you do not write the subject line, that part is going to be empty. Now, how does it affect the email writing part? In professional domains, as we discussed, people are busy, people don't have time. There's always time constraints that's characterized in the professional domain. So, if you're not going to give them a teaser of what you're going to write to them about, then there are high chances that they do not open your email. So, a good subject line will definitely decide whether your email would be opened and read or not. And it's a very, very important part, right? I can skip off an email without a subject line because I know if there's no subject line, if the person hasn't even bothered to write one subject line, then probably it's not an important mail, right? So all of these things can definitely help the reading rate. Okay, it would definitely improve the reading rate of your email and also the response rate to your emails, right? Now, this is about the necessity of writing a subject line or including a subject line. Next is how do you write it, right? Have you understood this part? We'll move to the do's and don'ts. Anything, any questions you have as of now? No? All right. Now, what are the do's and don'ts? Now, this do's and don'ts are particularly with respect to writing professional emails, right? So we have other kinds of emails as well, right? But this one, the do's, don'ts that you see on the screen is specifically for professional emails. That is emails that you write in your workplace, right? Now look at this. Do not use spam-like subject lines. Now, what is spam-like subject lines? Could you please read those? One words, subject lines with spelling errors, emoticons or emojis as they are called now, exclamations, capitalization, etc. Okay, so this is what will constitute what we consider as spam-like subject lines in professional emails. Or rather, in other way, you can say these are what you consider as unprofessional way of writing a subject line, using emoticons, spelling errors, one words, just simply, for example, if you are inviting somebody to a lecture, if you're going to write a subject line saying invitation and just leave it like that, this is considered unprofessional. Invitation to what? Right? So you can't leave your subject line as one words. You cannot use emoticons. No spelling errors for sure. No prize for mentioning that. Exclamation mark. So no need of showing any, you needn't show any emotional appeal in your subject line, like using too many punctuations, using particularly exclamation, no signs of excitement and pleasure and all that. You keep it very neutral, right? And next is capitalization. What is this one? Writing your subject line all in block letters, all in capital letters, right? We'll talk about it in a while. Why is it considered unprofessional, or why it is considered not the right way of drafting, not just subject lines, but in general, why should you not be using capitalization, right? Next is about that. Do not use all capital letters. Do not write long email subject lines. Now, in addition to this affecting the conciseness of writing, what else do you think is the problem? There's a practical problem of writing long email subject lines. What is it? Any guesses?
They may not show interest to read or go
They
through
may
the
not
email.
show interest to read. That's okay. That is again, it's an effective factor. But more than that, there's a practical reason to why you should not be writing a lengthy subject line. What is
It
it?
will not fit the one line in that.
It will not fit the space. It won't show, right? The point of writing subject line is that the person understands what you're writing this for, right? Why should they open it? But if you're going to write lengthy lines, then obviously they are only going to see a part of it. Have you seen when you get emails with long subject lines, after a point it's just dot, 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 dot. Are you able to see it entirely? No, right? Huh. So this is the reason people say that in professional emails, please do not write lengthy things, because anyway, it won't be shown entirely. And probably what happens, when you write lengthy things, it could very well happen that you include the important thing at the end of the line, which is not even shown to the person, right? So because of all these practical reasons, it's decided that the subject line will not be a lengthy line. And more than that, your subject line doesn't have to be a full sentence. It does not have to be a sentence in the sense it needn't have a subject, verb, object. It does not have to follow that structure. Subject lines usually are just phrases or expressions, right? So look at that, not more than 10 words. Ideally, it should be somewhere between 6 to 7, but it should definitely be not more than 10 words. And this 10 words is also based on the length of what you're writing, right? So a right way to approach it would be somewhere between 6 to 7, not anything more than that. Understood? Now, next thing, do's. How do you learn to draft good subject lines? Definitely the first thing that you can do is read newspaper headlines. Okay, if we read newspaper headlines, have you seen how they draft the headlines? Right? Do they write full sentences?
No, ma'am.
So if you look at the newspaper headlines, they are not just few words. They're not just a simple short phrase. It's definitely a little longer than the phrase, but it's definitely shorter than the sentence also, right? So that is how you learn to write subject lines, or reading through headlines will give you, a sense of how to write a good subject line. Or even, if you watch news channels, have you seen those news stickers that run either on the top or bottom of the channel? Have you seen that? Right? News, they call tickers, right? So news stickers, this is also a good way. If you are in a habit of reading them, then you know how to form a phrase that would fit the given space. And the same thing, that same kind of activity, that same kind of method you can apply to draft a good subject line also, right? So you basically, the bottom line is that you only write things that are more important, like how you draft keywords for something. Okay, so say you're writing a paragraph on something, and then if you're required to give keywords for it, how would you write it? So pick out those keywords and add only essential functional words like prepositions or articles in between, which would convey to the next person what you're writing the email about. Okay, so that is the first do when it comes to drafting a good subject line. Next is know your end goals. Now, what is this? You should know your purpose. You should first know why you're writing this email, because only knowing the purpose will help you write a good subject line. That's the reason. Okay. Third one, front and center the most important information. Now look at this one. We're talking about this a while ago, right? I told you if you're writing lengthy sentences, you run the risk of placing the most important word or the most important information of your email at the end of the subject line, which may not be visible to the person who's reading it. So to avoid this mistake or to avoid this problem, always front or center the most important information. Basically the purpose. Whatever you're writing for, make sure that in the placement of the words in your subject line, you always front and center the main information or the purpose. Okay? So first, as you write, mention that as the first thing, or at least towards the middle of the subject line. Please do not keep it at the end of the subject line. All right? Anything? Any question? All good. I'm not looking at the messages because I'm on this slide. So in case there's any question, or if you haven't understood something, you'll have to unmute and ask me. Okay. Okay. Now the last one there is personalize if needed, right? Ideally, you do not personalize the professional emails. But in case, for example, say you're writing for an internship to somebody, right? Say this person has been an alumni of your college, okay, or you know them somehow, maybe they were part of some organization that you worked for. So in that case, you can add this as a personal note, but not make sure that you're not making it very obvious, or that you're trying to take advantage of them knowing you, but just mention it slightly that you know them. And the best way to do that would be to mention the name of the organization or the club or something that you have been a part of, or which they know about, right? Instead of saying you are so and so, you just mention the organization's name or a previous internship that you worked with, which this person was associated with, something of that sort. So this is called personalization, right? Use this only if needed and required, only if it demands, only if you think that is going to give you some more professional bonus points, use it. Otherwise, keep away, because a lot of people will not appreciate it, and it's generally a frowned upon thing in professional writing, right? That you try to use your erstwhile acquaintance to get something done. Okay. Only in, situations like the ones that I've mentioned. I mean, this you have to talk to yourself whether it would be a right thing to mention it or not. If you think it's a harmless thing to do, then you definitely can add that personalization. Okay. But this is not a necessary thing, right? You don't have to do it always, or you do not have to do it also. It's not a necessary thing. But if it helps, then you can. That's all. Okay. Right. Now, examples of ineffective subject lines. Could you please go through them? Here, the situation is for the announcement of a new course. So basically, we are writing subject line to announce a new course. Can you go through subject line example 1, 2, 3? Please read it. So the first one, obviously, it is ineffective because it uses all capital letters. Now, what is the indication of using capital letters? Can someone comment on that? Do you already know? Why should we not use all capitals? I'll tell you the reason, but I'm just trying to check if there's anybody who already knows of it.
I don't know.
No? Okay, anybody? Let me go back to the, but the problem is if I go there, you're going to lose the screen. Okay, let it be.
Ma'am, capitalization refers to someone that very much important.
No. So that is what people think. A lot of people use capitalization thinking if you are going to write everything in capitals, people will take it more seriously. Or that's what their intention is. But based on the writing conventions, if you're going to write down, especially in one-to-one communications like emails, if you're going to use capital letters to talk to somebody, it basically resembles you shouting at them. Right? Using all capital letters basically means somebody is angry and they're shouting and commanding you to do something. Right? Which is why in professional writing conventions, we are strictly advised not to use capitalization to highlight anything. If you want to highlight anything, there are other methods to do it. Like you place something in italics or you keep something in bold, and only if bold, I would not advise. You can underline the important part. This is a usual convention as you write in paper also, right? You want to highlight something, you underline it. Similarly, if you think that something needs to be highlighted, you can use, you can underline that particular word. Even highlighting is not something that is considered a professional practice, right? So this is one thing that you can do, or not capitalize it or use the bold icon for that, right? Both of these would account to an interpretation that, you're trying to be rude with the person, right? So that's what I told you, that writing conventions use a lot of these things, something that's not, something that we're not aware about. Keep this in mind. Capitalization basically is considered as shouting, which is why we don't use them in professional emails. The second subject lines is hurry up. Okay, so A, too many exclamations used. The problem with exclamations again is it has a tone of coercion to it. And what is coercion? It looks like you're forcing somebody to do something, right? Using too many exclamations or using expressions like hurry up, all of these things would amount to coercion or what you call as forceful application, right? So for that reason, even that's not allowed. However, as we talk about this, you will see these kind of expression used in a certain kind of emails. What kind of emails? Promotional emails, right? So some people use it as a marketing strategy, but marketing emails or what you call as promotional emails, they are very different from professional emails, right? So maybe in that zone, or that kind of emails, you're allowed to use such expressions to add emphasis to what they are communicating to you. But in a professional email, you definitely do not use this. Okay. Third one, same thing. The reason why you do not use this is also the same as what we discussed. It is now or never. Grab this golden opportunity right away. Again, the reason is same. This also has a flavor of promotion to it. So in that place, maybe it looks all right. But in a professional email, this would count as aggressive language, right? Basically force, overemphasis. Okay, any questions here? Have you understood what we're discussing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll look at the effective subject line. So if these are all ineffective, then also the question is also then how do I write an effective subject line, right? So you have some examples for effective subject lines. So the situation remains the same, announcement of a new course. Now read through these subject lines and see how they're different from the ones you've already read. First one, machine learning course by NPTEL. What is this? The speciality of this particular subject line is that it's a short subject line, but it conveys very clearly to the person what the email is about. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Okay, so this is the first method, right? Now, second one, look at this. How unique is machine learning at the IIT? Or how does the IIT teach machine learning? Now, this is a promotional email. If you look at it carefully, there's a promotion of IIT and IIT's course on machine learning. But this is not aggressive, right? It's not saying hurry up and, register right now and all that. It's asking you a question. What kind of question? An open-ended question. Now, people can have different answers to this. And there's nothing like a definitive answer to this also. Yet, this is a pattern that people use when you want to make the reader curious. Okay, somebody reads this and how unique is it? I don't know. Maybe let me go and find out how unique it is. How does the IIT teach? I don't know. Okay, let me go and see how do they teach. Right? So this has two aspects. One is to raise curiosity among the readers so that they go and read it actually. And the second thing is they're also promoting themselves. They're giving you points on, see, this is not an ordinary thing. It's taught by the IIT. And you may want to check how different it is from the other courses, right? So this is also one way. If you want to write a promotional email professionally, it is still possible by this means. Okay, but if aggressive marketing is what you're planning, then this is not how you're going to do it. Then you will write hurry up and register now, and this is a golden opportunity, so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the second method, that is ask open-ended questions. Third one, machine learning course by NPTEL, register by 20th of August. New course alert, last date 20th August. Or announcement of blockchain technology course, register today. So what is common in all the three? All the three has a mention of the
registration date.
Registration date. That is the deadline, right? Now, this is also a promotional email, but a different technique, right? The first one you used was to ask an open-ended question to raise curiosity, right? The second one, what did you do? You mentioned a deadline. So by mentioning the deadline, you're sort of creating a kind of necessity around it, a kind of, you're basically telling the person you should hurry up. You're saying hurry up in a different way, right? By mentioning the deadline. Instead of telling people to hurry up and raise their BP, you're basically saying that the 20th is the deadline in case you want to register. It's another way, a neutral way of telling, please hurry up. Okay. Now the second situation, can you see this one? Virtual academic program launch. This is a different situation. Subject line, join us at the IITM online basic degree flagship event. Now, what is this? Command or call for action. So you basically including what your readers should do in the subject line itself, right? So last time when we discussed, I told you that all the professional emails should definitely mention what it has been written for. So call for action and command is something that has to be a part of it, right? This is an example of that. Here, the writer has decided that, see, whatever I want my reader to do, I will include that in the subject line. So directly, the person saying, join us at the IITM Online Basic Degree Flagship Event. This is also a good subject line in case you demand some sort of action from your readers. If you want your readers to take some action about your email, right? Now, the last situation here, announcement of a new academic program. Subject line, build your career with IIT Madras. What is the technique used here? You have added something that you think the reader will consider valuable, right? So you add something, a component that is more valuable to your subject line so that the person actually opens, reads it up and takes an action on that. So the last two, both of them are used in emails wherein you want your readers to take some action, right? So both the methods of writing the subject line, the second one, the second situation and the third situation, both of them will ensure that some kind of action is taken by the reader, right? So these are the different methods, so different ways in which you can draft a professional subject line, right? So use a short subject line in case it's simply an announcement. If it has more of a promotional nature, then you can use the open-ended question, or you can mention the deadline to emphasize the, the nature of your email. And then the last two, when you want to demand a call for action, or you require your reader to take some action immediately, right? So these are 5 different methods in which you can draft an effective subject line in a professional email. Okay, understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. So we'll continue talking about this in the next class as well, but we'll talk about a different thing. So similarly, like we talked about subject line today, I'll talk to you about salutations, the do's and don'ts of that, greetings and closing lines, all of them we'll go through, and all of them for the professional emails, so that you have an idea of how to draft one by the end of these classes, right? Which is maybe the next class. Okay. And of course, you have those set of scenarios, 10 of them. So based on what you hear in the class, you can always take those scenarios and work out on your own. You will have access to that document. Keep working on that. In case you have any doubts, you can of course ask me in the class. That is, you can work on it offline as well. Like, you don't have to do only in the class. We will definitely work on a few more from that in the class. But the rest of the questions you have there, you can work on your own to practice these things that we hear in the class, right? That is possible. And one more thing I need to discuss with you is about the formal language, right? We are looking at how to write these things, but we'll also look at what are the structural aspects that you need to keep in mind of the language you use while you write professional emails or anything that is professional in nature. So next class will begin by that, right? We'll discuss a little bit on formal and informal aspects of writing and how to do that, along with, of course, the other parts of emails. All right. So I think we are good for today.
Ma'am,
Yes, go ahead.
can you, ma'am, send that link for the document again?
Uh, Link to the document again. Okay, I'll send that. It's here. You can use that. Okay, I think we are good for today. So we'll close for today. It's already 6 and I have to be in the next class at 6. So we'll continue next week again. I hope you'll be able to practice on this document and that you've understood the things that we discussed today. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for everyone to join in. We'll see next week again.
Thank
See you. Sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hey Harish, Harish.